MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
There's not a day that's gone by since I've been here that someone hasn't mentioned the rivalry to me.
Touchdown, Michigan State does it!
Everybody wants it so bad. Everybody wants to win. Players, coaches, fan bases.
Edwards for the tying touchdown. He goes up! He got it!
Sometimes you get your little brother excited when you're playing basketball and stuff, and then you just come back and take it back.
This game's an important game. So they want to mock us all they want to mock us. I'm telling them it's not over. It's not over. It'll never be over.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap!
There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is rivalry week between Michigan and Michigan State. And with the 4th-ranked Wolverines being a 20-plus point favorite going into the 115th meeting between the two, the Spartans know they're going to have to rise to the occasion in order to keep Paul Bunyan in East Lansing for another year. The Spartans' defense is going to be heavily relied upon, considering Michigan is averaging 42 points a game. And one player who is looking forward to his first taste of this rivalry is Ken Dell Brooks. Our Haley Schoengart sat down with the senior cornerback to hear how he was able to chop his way to East Lansing.
Growing up in South Carolina, what was kind of your childhood like?
Growing up in the Midlands, it was like we did a lot of country stuff, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, drag strips, stuff like that. And then when I would go to my mom's side during the summer and everything like that, they were more like the farmers, horses and everything like that, commercial logging. So I spent kind of equal time in both, so I kind of got the best of both worlds of the country life.
And what was the football scene like down there?
Well, growing up, I didn't really play football. I played like 1 year of youth league. I didn't really like it. And then I started playing football my sophomore year in high school. We hired a new football coach, and he kind of got me to come out and play. And from there, I just kept up with it. He encouraged me to take it more serious. And then that led to me going to my Division II school and then ultimately here.
From high school, you went to North Greenville University, and they elected to not play football in 2020. What were your emotions when you heard that?
Well, at first I was kind of upset being a player and everything. I mean, you want to play as much as you can, but then I realized like the ins and outs of how everything worked, and I thought it was for the best. And so after that, I just kind of picked up a couple of jobs and started working, saving some money, and then I entered the portal.
And then you got a call from good old Mel Tucker. How did you know Michigan State was the right one for you?
Well, at first I talked to Coach Barnett, and we kind of had like an introductory conversation. And then when I spoke with Coach Tucker, it was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, you can't really pass up Michigan State. So from there, it was just like, I don't really need to talk to nobody else, just what kind of paperwork I need to send, whatever, and what I need to do to get there.
And coming from your background with your family's logging business, does Mel's saying of keep chopping hit a little different spot for you?
Yeah, when he first introduced it, I was kind of like, dang, because not a lot of people know what my family does. So when he first introduced it, I was kind of like, dang, that made perfect sense. Like, it was such a weird coincidence kind of thing.
In 2022, you are now 3rd in forced fumbles. What's been the driving force behind your season?
That's a great hit, and Brooks is the one who put it on him.
I was just ready for the opportunity when it came. So when I got in there, I mean, I ain't try to do nothing fancy. I always been a tough player my whole career. So when I got in there, I just executed my assignments and I was just being me.
Big game this week. Where's your head at heading into Michigan?
I mean, it's the biggest game, one of the biggest games of the season. So we all just excited and we ready to go out there, perform and get the job done.
And Mel Tucker has won the last 2. Is there any pressure surrounding the facility right now for you all to go to Ann Arbor and get the win?
I don't think so. I mean, we got a process, so we prepare for every game the same. So we just going through our process. We know it's a big game and we know what we have to get done. So
with how the season's been going so far, not the 11-win season you all had in 2021, do you think that there's something that you all want to prove, not only to the fans, but to yourself with this Michigan game?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we're just trying to shake back and win out the rest of the season to let everybody know, we're still Michigan State football and we still play a good brand of football.
How badly do you want Paul Bunyan to stay in East Lansing?
I mean, words can't even describe.
In week 2, Kendall secured his first career start after longtime starter Xavier Henderson had to sit out due to a leg injury. And when we come back, you're going to hear from the man who's better known as X around here, what he has to say about lining up against the Wolverines for one final time in the green and white.
As we go to break, Farm Bureau Insurance invites you to register to win an exclusive private dinner with head coach Mel Tucker. Go to InsideTheGreenSweeps.com to register.
At MSU FCU, we believe managing your finances should be easy. That's why we offer totally green checking with no monthly fees, no minimum balance, and tons of account features you'll love, like free bill payment and mobile deposit, free access to your credit score, and much more. Plus, you can easily manage your money anytime, anywhere with the free mobile app. Stop by a branch, give us a call, or visit us online and open your totally green checking account today.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
We use the time to get healthier and hopefully get some guys back. And so that's what the bye week is for, and we certainly use it for that. And we'll see who we can get back and get ready to play. But it does matter who's out there, and you can see a significant difference when you have two of your best players back out on the field.
After missing an extensive amount of time due to injuries, Michigan State was able to get two of its key starters back on defense against Wisconsin, and one of them was safety Xavier Henderson. Having him back for Saturday's showdown underneath the lights at the Big House will certainly help the Spartans defense be more in sync. After all, this will be his 5th time playing in this rivalry, and when he sat down with our Nick Mantis, he shared how difficult this last year has been for him.
Before the season even started, 4 preseason watch lists, coming back for another year, all this expectation coming into this year, and then the first game, you get injured.
Yeah.
What was that moment like for you?
It was a little scary initially at first, especially because I felt the way I was just running, and I made a cut, and I felt a little pop in my knee, and I knew something wasn't right. Jogged a little bit, ran a little bit, tried to go back in for a second, but I knew it didn't feel right. So it was a little emotional at first. But as I thought about it, this is my 5th year. This is my first time being with like a major injury. I played so much football here. I wasn't really too upset, and I got to put my coach's hat on for a little bit, which was fun for me.
When it came to your process coming back, that was a long time, 5 games that were taken away from your season. How did you stay positive during that moment?
It's really not a good thing or a bad thing is how I try to think about it. It just is what it is. I'm hurt, there's nothing I can do about it, you know what I mean? So why not try to make the best out of the situation, do what I can do for the team, and then try to get back as quickly as possible. And I got a great support system, my family, my little brother, my older brother too. It was a good time, honestly.
This will be the 5th time that you've played Michigan. First 2, they got you. Second 2, you got them. Now you're playing a tiebreaker.
Man, the tiebreaker, crazy.
What does this game mean, not just to you as a senior leader, but also to your legacy here at Michigan State?
I do want it a lot, and it's crazy because I thought being from Columbus, being from Ohio, I would, you know what I mean, be circling that Ohio State game a lot more. But ever since that first time I played them, I understand why, and you can tell they don't really like us, you know what I mean? And it's fun to play in. Really, what I'm excited for is for the younger kids to see what it's all about, and some of the like Jacoby Windman was saying, he's looking forward to seeing what the rivalry's about and Amir Speed and stuff like that. So I'm excited for the new guys to really experience a game like this, you know what I mean? Just the work that goes in and what we talk about going into the game and how we approach it.
Now there is a lot of talk that besides your 7 tackles and Charles Brantley's interception to win the game, the only reason why you guys won was because of Kenneth Walker III. What do you say to that?
I don't really think into that too much. You know what I mean? It's a new season. I already knew from the first 3 games, I knew Ken was going to be gone after that. So we're here now, so it's nothing to think about that.
What are you most looking forward to when it comes to playing Michigan?
The intensity of the game, the fans, hearing the fans yelling at us, and just playing a good, big-time opponent, well-coached team with good athletes. I'm looking forward to, just getting out there one more time with those guys, laying it all out there and see who wins.
Does that fire you up at all? Hearing people, Michigan fans, whoever it may be, yelling at you guys and stuff, because some guys, they feed off of that. Are you one of those guys?
Yeah, well, not just Michigan fans, just everybody, honestly. All the away games, I like to hear it. It's always been fun for me. Just hearing like boos when we come out and whatnot. It makes you feel like the bad guy, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's a good feeling.
You enjoy that bad guy role?
Kind of, yeah, for sure.
That bad guy will be flying around the big house on Saturday night looking for interceptions and big hits. And he's not the only weapon the Spartans have in their arsenal. Bryce Behringer is the best punter in all of the FBS. And after the break, we'll find out more about the man behind the goggles. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
If you go off of midseason national awards, the MVP of Michigan State's football team right now would be graduate senior punter Bryce Behringer. The Waterford native leads the country with 51.4 yards a kick. But as our Ian Kresh shares, the road to becoming an All-American wasn't an easy one.
All right, so last week you were named to the first team AP midseason All-American team. So that's not bad for someone that was a walk-on. So what would you say has led to your success here at Michigan State so far?
A lot of hard work, a lot of change in mindset, and then just self-belief. But also, like I said, the shift in mentality, being a lot more grateful for the chances that I'm given. Because, I talked to family, friends, teammates about how I was given a shot, didn't take the most of it.
When you were at Illinois as a freshman, when did you realize that maybe you wanted to transfer elsewhere, and when did you decide Michigan State was the school you wanted to go to at first, even if it was a walk-on at first?
Yeah, so I actually applied to MSU before making my decision with football, but I ended up going to Illinois, but I was still accepted here. And what's unique about here is you have that year-long admissions choice. So from the time you're accepted, you have a year to accept or decline. And so when I was at Illinois, there's just some circumstances that came up, and I stayed for the rest of the semester, saw it through, and then came here in the spring.
In that first season with MSU in 2018,
yep.
You did have a chance to see the field. So what was that like, as young as you were, to just play a little bit, step up?
I was very mentally immature. I was always finding excuses for things. I was very unaccountable, and that's just why I didn't really succeed, in my opinion, back then.
Take me through a little bit that 2019 year for you, with not being a part of the program really. Just what were you doing in that time to sort of stay ready for a moment and a chance to play again?
We have roster spots that are available for walk-ons, and but you also have the NCAA rule. You can only have so many at fall camp. So I didn't attend fall camp in 2019. Just to stay ready, I was working over reffing IM flag football, and I'd get to work 30, 45 minutes early each day, and I'd practice over on the band field just on the other side of the stadium. But then some things shook out in my favor, with people graduating, others leaving, deciding not to stay, and Coach D'Antonio and Coach Staten had called me on a Tuesday night and said, "Hey, you want to come back?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." So I came back, and ironically, 2 or 3 days later, Coach D announced his retirement. So
he still knew that he wanted you a part of this program, even though he might not have been a part of it.
Yeah, as cliche as it sounds, I owe a lot of my success to him.
So what has it been like now with Coach Tucker? How has he helped elevate your game to being a midseason All-American right now?
Him and the coaching staff have done a really good job of helping me stay, throughout this whole year. Just be very even keel.
I see the bracelet you have on with Mike Sadler. He obviously has a big legacy here at Michigan State. How has he been someone that has really inspired you to want to have a really nice career here at Michigan State?
Yeah, of course. You don't come here and you're a specialist and don't know who he is or what he did. I still talk to Karen pretty often, his mother. He coached me a couple times personally. The relationship I've built with Karen is definitely we're just trying to continue his legacy, you know, with the Sadler Foundation and the West Coast Spartans are doing a really good job of that.
I feel like now I have to ask about this weekend. 7 years ago, there was a pretty big play.
There was a big play.
Involving a punter.
I was at football practice when that play happened.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free!
When you look at that play as a punter, what is maybe something you would have done differently to avoid that kind of outcome?
Catch the ball. You know, that's one of our first main things we always talk about when we go over, you know, our pregame plan is the operation, the snap and the catch is the most important part, because without that, you don't have a punt.
Now, Mel Tucker secretly hopes he doesn't have to use Behringer in Ann Arbor because that would mean the offense is scoring on every drive, but he will be ready when called upon to flip the field. It could play a major part in helping Tucker improve to 3-0 against the Wolverines in his career. And when we come back, we're going to sit down with the boss man himself to hear what he has to say about trying to keep Paulie B in East Lansing.
Closed captioning sponsored by Hearing Life, helping Spartans love their ears. With 41 locations across Michigan, go to hearinglife.com to take a free online hearing test. Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
When Mel Tucker walks into Michigan Stadium on Saturday, it will be the first time he's coached in a game at the Big House when it is 100,000 plus strong. Back in 2020, the only fans staring back at him were the cardboard cutouts. And honestly, in his eyes, he cannot wait to coach in this kind of environment because it's what big time college football is all about. He knows what's at stake, and he also made sure to remind everybody else in the organization what they're playing for. For you to teach the younger players about the rivalry, that is very important to you, that they know the history of it. What have you been doing this week to teach the younger players about the significance of facing Michigan and especially Paul?
You know, we present the information to the players in the team meeting. You know, we started off with the history of the Paul Bunyan Trophy in 1953 and what all went into that, and that first meeting when Michigan State entered the Big Ten. It kind of goes from there. So we want to make sure the players understand, you know, how important the game is, understand the history of the game, the tradition. We don't want to assume anything.
Of the history lesson that you've been giving them, what has surprised you about what people have said about it, some of the younger players who didn't know, or what's something that you could share with us that you found to be intriguing that one of the players may have said to you?
I'll say one of the things that I saw some raised eyebrows was that some of our players didn't know that Michigan State was not originally in the Big Ten. And so I think that was eye-opening for them.
Last year when we were sitting down, I asked you what you liked about Paul, and you said you like the fact that he's in East Lansing.
Yeah.
What's it going to take for you guys to keep Paul in East Lansing for another year?
You know, we're going to have to play with tremendous toughness. We're going to have to be disciplined. You know, we're going to have to be selfless. Those are our core values. You know, we talked about those, you know, all week. In order to win any game, but especially a game of this magnitude, we have to play complementary football. We've seen the teams that have had the most success versus the school down the road are the teams who have played the hardest and the longest. It can't be a quarter or half or 3/4. It's got to be a full 60. And we have not played our best 60 so far this year, so we're looking forward to, you know, playing closer to our full potential and getting the job done.
Yeah, you mentioned that a couple of different times, how you felt like you haven't played a full 60 minutes of football. What area did you notice that the most in, or maybe where did you improve the most in that area against Wisconsin?
Yeah, I believe, you know, it was all three phases against Wisconsin. We were able to string more good plays, more positive plays together. You know, we're getting some more players back defensively, which has been a big boost for us. Those were the biggest takeaways, just more consistency throughout the game. It was a better brand of football throughout, and it showed on the scoreboard.
How did you feel, too, the energy of the defense maybe lift a little bit because Xavier Henderson was back as well as Jacob Slade?
Yeah, well, those guys are two of our best players, and they're leaders, and they're great communicators. Those guys worked really hard to get back, to get healthy, and really wanted to play in that game. And so there was a significant difference in the way our defense played with those guys in there.
This Saturday is the first time since 2017 that this game will be played at night. Only the second time in the entire history of the rivalry that it's going to be played at night. Do you like night games?
I do. I like night games. It's a huge stage. This is what our players, that's why they come here, to be able to play on a huge stage. Night games, national TV, rivalry games. The whole world's going to be watching. That's why we coach, that's why we play.
Is it hard to sit around all day waiting for kickoff at 7:30?
Yeah, it is. I'd rather just, like, as a coach, the waiting is probably the most difficult part. But it's worth the wait.
You have a lot of emphasis that goes into it from a defensive standpoint, just because of the type of offense that they have. Traditionally, teams who run the ball and are successful at running the ball in this rivalry are the ones who come out on top. You saw that last year with the performance that Kenneth Walker III had. When you look at a running back like Blake Corum, how do you best stop him?
Yeah, we have to set an edge on our defense and build a wall up front in the run game. We can't give them seams. We have to be gap sound. We can't let their shifts and their motions and all their formations, affect the way we fit the run. We have to do a great job on the perimeter. He's a really good back. He's got really good vision. He's tough. He's quick. You can't leave it up to just one guy to get him on the ground, so we're going to have to gain, tackle, and fly to the football.
You mentioned, too, that you've been a part of so many different rivalries. You've been asked the uniqueness of this rivalry, fighting for players, a recruiting standpoint, houses divided, etc. When you're not in season, what are some conversations or things that people have said to you about this rivalry that continue to stick out?
There's not a day that's gone by since I've been here that someone hasn't mentioned the rivalry to me, whether it's in season, out of season. But out of season, it's every single day. Anytime anyone sees me, they talk about this game.
This game?
This game.
No matter what?
No matter what. No matter where it is. I could be on the road recruiting. I could be at a fundraiser, in-state, out-of-state. I could be on a Zoom call with donors. It doesn't matter. This game always comes up. It's an important game, and so, we embrace that. I know about it. I know what it means, and so, I'm looking forward to it.
Tucker is hoping to be the first Spartan coach to win his first 3 meetings against the Wolverines, and it all begins on Saturday a little after 7:30. As always, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show. Have a happy and healthy weekend.